In terms of relentless kaiju that never want to back down for some smoke, there's no one quite like Godzilla Final Wars and Godzilla Evolve. This is the first ever battle video hosted on the SciGuy channel, and because of that, I decided to throw my hat into the ring. A very toxic, sludgy ring. Oh, yeah. In today's video, we will pit these two contestants against each other in a battle to the death. Here to bring you the statistics is Tex.
First contestant, Godzilla Evolve. Height, 393 feet or 120 meters tall and 582 feet or 177.4 meters long. Weight, 100,000 tons. Major feats: Hawk, Muto, Phi Muto, Permian Extinction, King Ghidorah, King Kong, Kaiju Warfare Veteran. Second contestant, Godzilla Final Wars. Height, 328 feet or 100 meters tall and long. Weight, 60,627 tons. Major feats: solos a majority of his verse in one sitting, taking down Kaiser Ghidorah, tanking / breaking apart Gorath.
Before we get started on this fight, let's get into how we will break down fights here. For one, on top of going over character feats, it's important to highlight any extra details that might be worth mentioning. Furthermore, on-screen feats will always outweigh what is said by characters or writers or even directors. Actions speak louder than words, and whether or not you agree with what the ultimate result of this matchup is, it shouldn't matter. This is for fun. These are fictional characters. Enjoy the video, man. Today's categories will include strength, speed, agility, endurance, battle intelligence, durability, abilities, and combat styles. Starting off with his feats pre-evolved, he was able to throw Kong by the arm with relative ease. Now, Kong's weight isn't truly known, but given the fact that he's historically been able to toss and throw other titans, such as the Ion Dragon, Scylla, the Mutos, and King Ghidorah, all of which are in varying weights, goes to show that Titanus Gojira is not to be overlooked. His tail in itself is incredibly dangerous, killing the Hawk Muto in a single swing, knocking over King Kong, and knocking back King Ghidorah. Godzilla can also lift titans such as the Muto Prime at a weakened state, who herself weighs around 135,000 tons. In his evolved form, it can be assumed that he is much stronger. I mean, he's evolved. The fuck am I supposed to say? Casually, he mauls other titans, tearing apart Tiamat, a titan who was previously able to challenge him when they were both in a much weaker state. Oh yeah, and he also tossed Scylla like she wasn't shit. Which, I mean, she's like around 20,000 tons, so that's why I even hesitated considering it, since it's nothing compared to literally everything else. However, it must be said that Godzilla himself has been seen getting pushed over by nearly all of his opponents. The main issue is that he can lose grip on the ground fairly easily. The way he uses his strength has to do with lifting and grappling. One thing his opponent will sure make hard for him. While he does not have as much on-screen time as his rival, his feats are not to be undermined. He is seen absolutely obliterating every other kaiju in his verse. Certain examples include launching Kamanga over the horizon, or as far as we can see, but we can just assume that he did. Impressive because he was able to do it casually. And during this fight, he was able to throw King Caesar, who weighs around 50 metric tons, with the use of a single tail swipe. He was able to launch a balled up Anguirus that weighed around 60,000 metric tons. All again, very casually. Upon his final fight, he was seen throwing around both Gigan and Monster X. Finally, and most admirably, he was able to throw a 100,000 ton weighing Kaiser Ghidorah, which, while in his Kaiser form as well, I would make the assumption he can do this in his base, given the fact we've seen him casually doing this to other kaiju about half the weight. Of course, it would take much more effort, energy, and overall wouldn't be as effective, but I feel like it's safe to say it's still within the realm of possibility he could do this. On top of that, I guarantee you he isn't much stronger than Don Fry. Both contestants were shown to have immense strength that was used in vastly different styles. Godzilla Evolves is actually quite fast. Whether or not you want to account for the swimming, which even if you include hollow earth tunnels, I don't think changes it very much, which For this is hard for me to calculate, but I tried anyways.
Assuming that this was him nearly stretched out, that puts his length at around 170 meters, accounting for him almost being stretched. He ran about double his length within 2.8 seconds.
This puts base running speed and GXK at around 270 miles per hour at an estimated base. We can assume that in his clearly more agile and slim evolved form, he is faster than this. However, I am merely a 16-year-old hosting a YouTube channel that struggles to clock out to 100 views, so what do I know? That's your cue to like and subscribe, by the way. When it comes to agility, as seen in GXK, Legendary Godzilla is much more agile than any other film in the franchise, being able to jump higher, swim faster, and is overall much more athletic. In Rio de Janeiro, he was seen throwing his body around with ease, even after a fight that was going on for as long as it did. I think it's safe to say that this Godzilla is fast as shit. Between his reaction time, his running, and his striking, this Godzilla's fast and agile. I mean, just look at him. Final Wars endures many of his battles thanks to his speed, being able to take on 3 opponents at once. Something Legendary notoriously couldn't do in 2014. He outmaneuvers most of his enemies, which will definitely give him an upper hand against Evolved, who struggles against faster opponents like Kong and the Hawkmuto. I believe that one of Final War's greatest advantages in this fight will be his speed, but more on that later. Before we get into this category, I would like to distinguish the difference between endurance and stamina. Endurance is the ability to maintain a constant, steady pace for extended periods, while stamina is usually considered the ability to go as hard as possible in extended bursts. This is one thing I believe gets overlooked in fictional combat debates, usually because you don't see characters show visible or significant fatigue. However, as you'll see today, fatigue will play a major role in this battle. Godzilla throughout his decade-long run has increased in both endurance and stamina, from passing out after dealing with the Muto pair to becoming a smoke-seeking, always ready for battle monster. Especially in Godzilla vs. Kong, where he was already at a weakened state, drilled into the center of the earth, fought both Kong and Mechagodzilla over the course of the next 12 hours, which it is then and only then we see Godzilla gas out against Mechagodzilla. Even then, he was still able to temporarily match the beam strength of his opponent. Or in 2019, in a weaker type of amped form, he was able to control the majority of this battle until Ghidorah. In which case, that's when he started to get his shit rocked. Well, continuing on with Evolved and Pre-Evolved, it's clear that he barely feels fatigue anymore, going at a consistent pace throughout the duration of the film itself. But regardless, it was still clear that even going against Shimo, arguably a losing battle for the Big G, was still able to push himself through. As a matter of fact, as the fight went on, he seemingly got stronger and angrier and faster thanks to the use of his supercharged form. Over the course of multiple battles of varying difficulty, Final Wars was able to display his immense stamina, and squabbles with lower-tiered kaiju, he was able to rock them in mere seconds. One thing I thought about was the idea that Final Wars relies heavily on his fast twitch muscles. I say this because of his fight with Monster X, where his pace went down much more due to its length compared to the other fights within the film. This also makes sense because Godzilla himself relies on quick, explosive movements. I myself am involved in combat sports, and the people who gas out the quickest usually rely on their speed and strength to win early. Otherwise, they would gas out late into these matches. But these are giant monsters that shoot radioactive ionizing beams out their mouths, presumably out their ass. While Final Wars has short, tactical battles, Godzilla has long and drawn-out ones. So, as you can see, they're clearly opposites in a multitude of factors. There's one thing Legendary Godzilla is known for, it's his extensive list of battles he's won and learned from, and also being an unjust tyrant. Given his millions of years of experience and being on this planet, Godzilla has a lot of battle intelligence. For example, 2014, where he adapted to the Hawkmuto's combat style, eventually killing him via a well-timed tail swipe. He adapted to Kong by relying on close quarters combat and his immense grappling skills. There's plenty of examples of Godzilla changing up his style or adjusting mid-fight. Godzilla's experience, while more limited, is not to be undermined. Unlike Godzilla Evolved, who was once able to work with humanity, Final Wars does not care and still proceeded to track down the Gotengo until the very end, where he eventually moved on. This means, like Evolved, Final Wars has the mental capacity to hold a grudge. Petty bastard. However, his fighting style does not show the same adaptability Godzilla Evolved does. Final Wars seemingly has the same fighting style. He relies on what he knows, and only then, when he powers up, that's when he's able to beat Final X and Kaiser Ghidorah. He was able to tank the Permian extinction.
Alright, I'm in editing. Don't kill me. I'm gonna clarify some things upon further research. First of all, regardless of whether or not the Permian extinction actually had an asteroid, in this universe it did. And while I believe that this is merely a artistic exaggeration of the size of the explosion, regardless, such an explosion had to have been huge. And it was clear that the asteroid had to have at least been close to him, even if it wasn't head-on. Regardless, it doesn't change much.
He has regenerative abilities, which we can clearly tell in Godzilla vs. Kong, where his thigh heals over the course of the night. He's been stabbed numerous times by the Muto pair, took shots from a charged up axe, one that pierced his thigh, but another to the skull, and he tanked that! Mind you, we can assume that this axe, when charged, is relative to his atomic breath, which was able to drill into the hollow earth, and it knocked him out for a few minutes at a weakened state! He was dropped from the stratosphere, frozen. Need I go on? Final Wars tanked the impact of Gorath, or at least a slowed version of it, right to the face. And while the rest of the city lay in ruin, he stood there. All of this we can assume is relative to Monster X, the kaiju who was inside Gorath upon its impact and explosion. While a hit from Monster X doesn't equate to the impact of Gorath, we can say it made Final Wars react more than the explosion, which upon the explosion, he was fine. Now, while he did end up receiving quite the beating before he got his energy boost, it's still incredibly impressive that he was able to take the hits he did from Monster X. Evolved's beam is stronger than Godzilla vs. Kong's, and we know what that did. It can lift Shimo into the air and knock her around. It seemingly has explosive capabilities, and on top of that, he can supercharge willingly, which, from what I can tell in lore, is stronger than Burning Godzilla. Yeah, I said it. Go cry to Godzilla guy, you little nerd.
Yeah, that's right. Supercharged is stronger.
We can also assume that in this form he's able to do a nuclear pulse, but just chooses not to. His spiral heat ray is capable of slowing down Gorath and one-shotting Guy again, and has ridiculous pushback. Through all his fights, Godzilla has shown the ability to grapple with his opponents, typically clearing the distance and attacking. However, that isn't to say that Godzilla isn't capable of using all of his appendages. Clawing, tackling, tail swiping, biting, and the only thing this guy doesn't do is punch, a big contrast to his opponent. Much of his losses and most difficult fights come from his opponents who are able to strike him before he could get a good grip on them, which is a major disadvantage for him when he's against a striker. Utilizing his agility to his advantage, usually he only gets close to throw his opponent. Once again, gives him distance. He utilizes a much more martial artsy combat style. With that being said, we've gone over our contestants' feats, and it's almost time to watch this fight. But I would like to talk a bit more seriously. This video, quote unquote, started production around June, and I had lost progress for that video in a data wipe. So I put that venture to the side and went more into my commentary videos. After the deaths of both Sam Neill and Kaylee Hoddle, it hit me in a way I haven't been hit by a celebrity death. On one hand, you had the man who inspired many of us to learn and create media about dinosaurs. And on the other hand, you had a young woman who had all the odds against her succeeding in Hollywood. I wasn't disabled, but to see someone so young succeed inspired me to create. So to see both of them pass feels like a robbery and an injustice. Both of them contribute to my aspirations to become a filmmaker significantly. This whole video I contribute to their legacy as creative homage to the inspiration they gave me. And as hard of a pill that is to swallow, I don't want to be sad. This video was made as a way to cope, and my attempt to shine a light onto a fandom that was going through a dark time. Whether or not you found me funny, I appreciate you guys making it this far into the video. I hope I brought you some hope. Even if at the time of this video I have 42 subscribers. That's 42 people I get the chance to make their day better. But that's all I have for that. I don't want to be too mopey. With that out of the way, let's get into this fight!
Winner: Godzilla Evolved.
What truly won this fight was Godzilla's ability to adapt and endure, even after getting his ass beat in the beginning. One thing that many need to understand about Final Wars is the fact that many of his feats come from either statements, such as what the Zalian said about Gorath, which, do you think they were being honest? Really? Or his feats were pitted up against significantly weaker kaiju, of which some of these guys got impaled, defeated by getting thrown on mountains, blown up. All of these aren't really good when you look at it from afar. Sure, he's strong, but Evolved has tanked much worse. I mean, when you look at Monster X, who actually scales decently to Final Wars, the only reason why he didn't win was because he got an upgrade. Evolved simply outscales Final Wars significantly. And upon Final Wars not being able to keep the distance, Monsterverse was able to eventually grab him and tear him apart. I'm sorry guys, but the winner is Godzilla Evolved. If you enjoyed this fight video, I'd really appreciate a subscription and a like. Once again, thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
dun.